चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम्। स्वामिन् नमस्ते नतलोकबन्धो कारुण्यसिन्धो पतितं भवाब्धौ मामुद्धरात्मीयकटाक्षदृष्ट्या रज्व्यातिकारुण्य सुधाभिवृष्ट्या। स्वामिन् नमस्ते, स्वामिन् नमस्ते, स्वामिन् नमस्ते, स्वामिन् नमस्ते। स्वाराज्य साम्राज्य विभूतिरेषा भवत्कृपा श्रीमहिमप्रसादात् प्राप्ता मया श्रीगुरवे महात्मने। नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु। नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु। नमो नमस्तेस्तु पुनर्नमोस्तु। जय गुरु, जय गुरु, जय गुरु। This is on Upadesha Panchakam. 5 verses. Panchakam means 5. 5 verses which Adi Shankaracharya had written, composed for his students. Shankaracharya was a great knower and he had been instructing his disciples and his students in order that they would realize the self, the Brahman. And he had composed many shlokas and verses on contemplation on the self, realization on the self, how to go about it, and also when one realizes what are the characteristics of a knower and what such a knower experiences. So beautiful shlokas are there. Also, at the same time, he was a devotee. So, he had been composing many verses on devotion on various deities. Right from Ganesha, Devi, Krishna, Vishnu, Shiva. So all these verses were excellent and which would make one's mind surrender and be still at the feet of the Supreme Lord. So his students were very confused. They thought, on one hand, our master is telling us about the absolute Brahman, which is non-dual, and on the other hand, he is composing such verses, singing it himself, which is on duality. That as a devotee, I worship the Lord. So there are two are involved. So this confusion was there. So they went to the master and said, you have been telling us about contemplation of the absolute, eternal, imperishable Brahman, as well as telling us about so many deities, describing them and singing praises for them. So we are a little confused what we should do. And we do not know, cannot understand what should be our way, how we should go about for self-realization. You have given us many, many instructions, but will you please tell us what is your summary instruction for us? How we can realize the self? What should be our discipline? What should be the method? What should be our austerities? Out of everything that you have been telling us, which one we should pick up so that our path is easy and fast? So he composed this Upadesha Panchakam. Now the slokas that he had been telling on the imperishable Brahman and on devotion, I will go through some of them. Then you will understand what was the confusion in their mind. First, he said in Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya says, Vadantu shastrani yajantu devan kurvantu karmani bhajantu devataha atmaikya bodhena vina vimuktihi na siddhyati brahmashatantarepi. Vadantu shastrani. Suppose somebody teaches the Shastras, the scriptures. He is well versed in scriptures. And he also exposes them. Yajantu Devan. He does lot of yajna and yaga, propitiating various kinds of gods and goddesses. Kurvantu Karmani. In the Vedas, there are lot of injunctions that you please do this kind of karma, this kind of sacrifices by which you will reach your goal. You will get felicity. So, bhajantu devataha. And if one worships also various images and deities, then also he may be doing all these things which is punya karma, which is not the usual way of life where one only is interested in earning, interested in more and more comfort, interested in only worldly objects. He is doing something very good by exposing the Shastras, by doing yajna and sacrifices and worshipping the Supreme Lord in various forms. Shankaracharya says, if mukti has to be attained, unless one strives for the Atmaikya Bodhena, strives for that goal where one realizes oneself as the soul or the self, one will not have mukti. So he says very clearly, you can do many things. You can read the Shastras, teach the Shastras, you can do various kinds of worship. You may bring about so many offerings, collect so many items according to the Vedic injunctions. You do puja, just like we do. So various kinds of pujas are there, fasts are there, vows are there, sacrifices are there, yajnas are there. But he says, if you want mukti, then you must know what is this self and that you are the self, you are not the body. So whereas he says this, then he says that once when somebody realizes the self, this becomes his state. He starts singing. He goes to a guru and he takes Upadesha from the guru and he starts pursuing the path of realization. There may be so many difficulties on the path, so many help from the guru on the path, and ultimately he reaches that goal where he understands that I am the self. That is, he has been doing yajna, he has been reading Shastra, but then understanding that Atmaikya Bodha is absolutely necessary, he strives for that goal and he realizes, then he sings like this. Sarvadharam sarvavastu prakasham sarvakaram Sarvagam Sarvashunyam Nityam Shuddham Nishchalam Nirvikalpam Brahmadvaitam Yattadevahamasmi Brahmadvaitam Yattadevahamasmi. You know, we should sing. I think all of you are seekers and all of you are on the same path of attaining the self-realization. Beautiful shlokas. This is from Viveka Chudamani again at the end. 413th shloka. It says, I am verily that Brahman. He has realized. He has gone to the... See, we are morning Swamiji is taking Viveka Chudamani, but he starts from wherever he had left. The beginning is this, that a Shishya goes to the Guru and asks him that I am feeling like this. I feel that I am scorched by this worldly ocean. I feel afraid. I do not know which way to look. I feel as if a storm is uprooting me. So please tell me what I can do. The Guru then tells him, Ma Bhishta, don't fear. I will take you with holding your hand. There is a place which is absolutely that abode of unaffectedness, where there is no fear. I will reach you there. And then he starts giving him Upadesha, instructions. The Shishya in between asks him questions and the Guru gives reply. Like that it goes on. And at the end, by the grace of the Guru, he grasps whatever the Guru says and he practices whatever the Guru has told him with absolute dedication, sincerity and commitment and yearning. And he reaches that state and he sings this. Sarvadharam sarvavastu prakasham sarvakaram sarvagam sarvashunyam nityam shuddham nishchalam nirvikalpam brahmadvaitam yattadevahamasmi. He says, I am verily that Brahman. Yat tadeva aham asmi. What is Brahman? Tat, that, aham asmi. I am that. And how the Brahman is described here? Sarvadharam, who is the support of all. Sarvavastu prakasham, which illumines all things. Sarvavastu prakasham. It illumines everything. Sarvakaram, akara means form. Sarva akaram. It has infinite forms. Though Brahman is only one, it takes many, many forms. Sarvagam. Sarvagam is omnipresent, which goes everywhere. That is all pervading. Sarvashunyam, devoid of multiplicity. Whereas it has infinite forms, but it is devoid of multiplicity. It is one absolute without a second. Then Nityam. Nityam is eternal. Shuddham, pure. Nishchalam, which does not move. Nirvikalpam, which is absolute. Brahmadvaitam, Advaitam. That Brahman is Advaita, that is one without a second. We are not saying only one. We are saying one without a second. When we say one, then the concept of two also comes in the mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, it will come like that. That is why this Advaita is said one without a second. So the Brahman has all these qualities. We should do, if you are sincere seekers, you should learn this. Sing it in any tune you like. But if you sing it, you will find the word Sarvadharam. It immediately, Sarvadharam means support of everything, the Adhara of everything. And two, then Sarva Vastu Prakashan illumines everything. Sarvakaram, which has infinite forms, Sarvagam, which is omnipresent, then Sarvashunyam, which is multiplicity. Each word, if you think the meaning and then sing, you will feel as if your mind has become all pervading. Otherwise, we are constricted. We only think that this form that I have, that is I. But we are not. I am the self, and the self has all these attributes, all these characteristics. So when we sing with feeling, we become that. We become that quality. We become that characteristics. That is why it should be sung. Sung in your own mind, hum the tunes, learn it, write it somewhere. I'm telling it from my own experience. Many of the shlokas I used to write in the kitchen. While cooking, I will learn them. Then I'll try to say them without seeing the paper. And then I find that I have forgotten them. Again learn. And then it became my own. So, this is what Sarvatmakoham Sarvoham Sarvatitoham Advayaha Kevalakhandabodhoham Anandoham Nirantaraha Sarvatmakoham Sarvoham Sarvatitoham Advayaha Kevalakhandabodhoham Anandoham Nirantaraha Sarvatmakoham. He's saying, I am Sarvatma. Sarvatmakaha aham. I am Sarvatma. This is what the spiritual realization is. I am not this body, I am the self. And the self that I am is in everything. I am the universal self. It is not that the self in each one of you is different. It is universal. That is what is the spiritual knowledge. So it says, Sarvatmakoham. When one realizes, then one says, I am Sarvatma. That is why at that time, he cannot hate anybody. He loves everybody. He cannot find fault with anybody. Just like, suppose I am scratching here and my finger just pinches my eye. Will I scold my finger? Why did you pinch my eye? Sometimes with our teeth, we bite the tongue. Do we scold the teeth that why did you bite? Blood has come. Why we do not? Because we know that it is our own part. Similarly, when we feel that we are Sarvatma, then we cannot hate anybody. Everybody becomes our own. Everybody becomes I, myself. That myself world is also not true. There is no myself. There is only one presence and everything dissolves there. So, Sarvatmakoham Sarvoham, and I am everything. Sarvatitoham Sarva Atitoham. It's not only that I am Sarvatma. When we say Sarva Atma, then again the concept of non-Sarva becomes there. Are you clear? Whenever we actually this knowledge, it is said neti neti, not this, not this, not this. This because this is vang manasa gocharaha. We cannot even express what it is. So we say, oh, it is not this. Is it this? No. Is it this? No. Is it this? No. Like that we have to go to that self. So sarvatitoham. Actually, we are even beyond. We are not even sarva. Beyond. Like we have 4 ashramas. There is one atyashrami. He doesn't belong to any of the ashramas. Similarly here, sarvatitoham. I am beyond. I am transcendental. Advayaha. One without a second. And absolute. Kevalaha. Akhandabodhoham. Akhandabodha means, which is absolutely constant, infinite knowledge. I am only that. I am that knowledge alone, I am nothing else. And Anandoham, I am bliss itself. We don't think like that. Our lives are not like that. Though we may be hearing it, it does not stay with us. Anandoham. How many person can say? Once we went to Amarnath, and while coming back there was snowstorm and all that. Mother was there with us. Her pony died. She was falling down. She was not able to walk even. So she was falling down at every step. At that time, suddenly we heard one sadhu. He's clapping. He's absolutely naked with lot of vibhuti and ash smeared on his body. He's standing barefoot on the ice and clapping and said, Anand karo, girna bhi anand hai, girna bhi anand hai. We are not able to say that. So, anandoham. We are ananda. Anandoham nirantaraha. Nirantaraha means continuous, without any break. We are ananda without break. Our ananda, something happens like yesterday, there was lot of ananda. 2 events took place. Vishnu Sahasranam, everybody were so excited. Everybody had taken up something or other as service, running about, and the whole event went on very smoothly. People are happy. Then we flagged off the Gangotri water and other earth, holy earth also. That also over. Now everybody has gone. Today, the ashram is very quiet and dull. Everybody has gone home. So those people who are here, you cannot see anybody in the lawns. Only few people, they are engaged in their work. So there is a dullness today. So our ananda is always coming and going, coming and going. But this ananda that it is talking of, this is nirantaraha. Nirantara anandarasena triptaha. We must be contented with nirantara ananda. That is the ananda which does not fade away at all. It is continuous and ever it is there. So, when one realizes, these are the shlokas that one dwells upon. It comes out from his heart. And Shankaracharya has composed many such shlokas. Vivek Chudamani is one book. There are so many compositions that Shankaracharya has written. Actually, how he could do so much in the age 32 that he lived, it is wonderful. It is a great wonder how he could do. So, similarly, he is writing on, he has composed shlokas on bhakti, where he is praying to somebody, praying to hear what he has said without any form, but also with multiple forms. So there he says, shlokas on bhakti. Ayam danakalastvaham danapatram bhavaneva data twadanyam na yaje bhavat bhaktimeva sthiram dehi mahyam kripashila shambho kritarthosmi tasmat ayam danakalastvaham danapatram. There he becomes a devotee. He is somebody who surrenders at the feet of the Lord. Whereas in contemplation on Brahman, there is no second one. One is Brahman. One alone is there. No second entity is there. But here, he is praying to a second entity, whether it is Lord Shiva, whether it is Devi, or whether it is Krishna. So here in this shloka where he prays to Lord Shiva, he says, this is from Shivananda Lahiri. He has written so many verses in this Shivananda Lahiri in praise of Shiva. It says, Ayam danakalastvaham danapatram. Says that, O Lord, the time for you to give a dana has come. Dana kalaha. Aham danapatram. So if somebody wants to do dana, there must be somebody to whom he can give dana. Suppose we have thought that we'll give some kambals in this winter. Then we must find out people whom we can give, like we do Annavastra Dana Satra here in the month of March. So we go around and give tokens and tell them that please come and take. So he says, the devotee, the Shankaracharya, he's saying, Aham Danapatram. You are the person and the time of dana has come and I am that receptacle. I have come near you to receive this dana. Bhavaneva data. You are the data. I know that. Tvad anyam na jane. I don't know anybody except you. Bhavad bhaktimeva sthiram dehi mahyam. He said, if you have to give me some dana, O Lord, give me this dana. What? Bhavad bhaktimeva sthiram. Sthiram bhakti, you give me. That is absolutely unswerving devotion you give me at your feet. I don't want anything else. Kripashila Shambho. O Shambho, you are Kripashila. You are full of mercy. I am your devotee. I know that you are going to give a dana. Whatever I ask you, you will give me. I am the receptacle also. But I don't want anything except Sthiram Bhakti. This is what our bhakti also should be. Why these sages have composed these slokas and verses? Just to tell us that this is a state one which we can achieve. We can reach that state and we should be wanting that only. By wanting other things, what do we gain? We are constantly wanting and wanting and wanting. Once we desire, we get the object of desire. The desire is fulfilled. But then again we become desireful. Again some other desire turns up and crops up in the mind and we become agitated, irritated or depressed. Why we are not getting? So desire will never make one contented. What we have to become is desireless. Whatever is necessary for living, we may have. But not more than that. Not just because of desire, you keep on collecting things and keeping it. The other day, somebody came to the ashram and said about some relative, 2,000 saris she has, and her only work is to take out the saris, put it in the sun, and keep it back in the almirah. So this is also desire. So he says, Bhavad bhaktireva sthiram dehi mahyam kripashila shambho kritartho smitasmat. O merciful Lord, if you give me this ananya bhakti, sthiram bhakti, then what I will feel is that kritarthata, blessedness. I will become blessed. This is what Shankaracharya is writing. Then I'm only chanting this to show you the confusions in the minds of his disciples. On one hand, they are taken to the great height of absolute Brahman, and then they find him chanting these slokas. So they find that there is contradiction. Na mantram no yantram tadapi chana jane stuti maho na cha ahvanam dhyanam tadapi chana jane stuti katha na jane mudraste tadapi chana jane vilapanam param jane matah tadanusaranam kleshaharanam. Very beautiful sloka. It is like a child going to the mother and singing, telling the mother, actually, absolutely we are all, even though we grow old, there is a child in us. and that child wants security. We may be 70 years old, 80 years old, but still there is a feeling of being a child. So the devotee is singing. When he or she finds no way to go beyond the sufferings, he finds there is suffering and suffering alone. Even if sukha is there, happiness is there, it is always mixed with dukkha. He tries to balance sukha and dukkha in life and finds that dukkha is more always. It may be from objects, it may be from people, it may be from one's own mind. The mind sometimes is never contented. It is always desiring something. Always it feels a lack. Always a feeling that I must get this or I must get that. Or a feeling that somebody should talk to me sweetly. People should talk to me sweetly. People should recognize what I am doing. People should praise me for what I am doing. So one's own mind becomes one's own enemy and gives suffering. So when everything one tries, one is not able to get out of this suffering, then one feels, where should I go? Who will give me solace and who will pacify me? So that child in him starts looking at the Supreme Lord as a mother. That, oh mother, I don't know what is to be done. I am a child of yours who doesn't know anything. And he says, Na mantram, no yantram. He said, I don't know any mantra to call you. See, you should get identified with these words. What is the devotee saying? Oh mother, I want to call you. But I find that to call you, mantras are used. Just like I am telling you, learn these slokas. In a helpless condition, you may even think that I don't even know any sloka to call you. I want to put all my sufferings at your feet, but I have no words. I do not know how to call you, how to invoke you. So he says, no mantram, I don't have any mantra. No yantram. For worship, we have images. I have nothing in my possession. Tadapi cha na jane stuti maho. I do not know how to praise you. I do not know any shloka or to chant or stuti to chant for you. Na chahvanam dhyanam tadapi cha na jane stuti katha. I do not know how to invoke you. In any temple or in a puja, the idol is invoked. There is an invocation. So he says, I don't know invocation also. So mother, if I don't have all these things, will you not come to me? Will you not come to my rescue? This is his feeling. He is saying, Na chahvanam dhyanam. I do not know how to do dhyana on you. Tadapi cha na jane stuti katha. And I don't have a prayer to you. Na jane mudraste. I do not know the rituals which is necessary for your worship. Na cha jane vilapanam. And that I have so much torment in my mind. I am lamenting. That also, in which word I should keep at your feet, I do not know. So this is my condition, O mother. Still, param jane mataha. I am a little child of yours. I have come with helplessness. I know nothing. I do not know how to call you. And still will you not take care of me? I know that if I call you as mother and follow you, you will definitely look after me and make me all right. Klesha haranam. Tad anusaranam klesha haranam. If I follow you, you will take away all my grief, all my suffering. Na mokshasya akanksha, na cha vibhava vancha pichaname, na vijnanapeksha shashimukhi, sukheच्छापि न पुनः अतस्त्वां संयाचे Janani Jananam Yatu Mama Vai Mridani Rudrani Shiva Shiva Bhavani Ti Japataha Namokshasyakanksha Nacha Vibhava Vanchapi Chaname Na Vijnanapeksha Shashimukhi Sukhechapi na Punaha Atasvam Samyache Janani Jananam Yatu Mama Vai Mridani Rudrani Shiva Shiva Bhavani Ti Japataha. He also says, Namokshasya Akanksha. I do not have Mokshasya Akanksha. I do not have any desire for moksha. Nacha Vibhava Vancha Pichaname. I do not hanker after wealth also. That is what? Two opposite things. In this world, one goes for the prayers, that is, after the objective world, trying always to get things for enjoyment. And some people, they understand enjoyment will not give me permanent happiness, so they look for liberation. He says, I have nothing. Desire neither for moksha, desire neither for worldly objects. Na vijnana peksha. I do not have yearning for knowledge also. I find that I do not have that kind of a knowledge so that I will pursue this path with sincerity and intensity. Sukhecha pina punaha. I do not want sukha also. This is my condition. I think all of us suffer from this condition at one point or other. When we feel, I don't like to do anything, disinterested to the core. Neither prayers will allure us, nor moksha will allure us, nor do we want to have wealth, nor do we want to do this or that. And he's also saying, I don't want sukha also. Atasvam samyache janani jananam yatu mama vai. So what shall I do? What am I supposed to do? I can do only this much, O mother. Atasvam samyache. From you, I am only wanting this, praying for this. Yache means I want. Samyache means samyak. That is, I, with supremely, with all my heart, I am wanting this only from you. What? Let my life be spent only taking your name. I am not able to take to any discipline. I am not able to do dhyana, able to take to do contemplation. I am not able to read anything. I am not going to, maybe not going for any satsang or meeting like-minded people discussing about you. Sing stotra, sing praises. I see that I have nothing to do. I am not able to do. At least give me this much, that even in that condition, let me take your name. What are the names? Mridani Rudrani Shiva Shiva Bhavani Ti Japataha. Let my days pass only taking your name like this. So like this, so many shlokas Shankaracharya had composed. And the disciples, there were many disciples, they became confused. They were thinking which path to take. Should we first follow this devotional path? Actually what they thought, felt and thought, I don't know. I'm just telling everybody, anybody will feel like this. Should I follow this devotional path or should I go straight to the jnana path? He was a jnanavadi, Shankaracharya, staunch jnani. But at the same time, he is chanting all these things and exposing them to the disciples. Actually, this Upadesha Panchakam came about this way. So when they went and told, Oh Lord, we are very confused. We don't know how to bring about a wholesomeness in our life. How through all these things we can reach the goal of our life, which is self-realization. So give us your summary advice. And he wrote 5 verses, Upadesha Panchakam. And those are relevant for all seekers of all times. Though he told that those shlokas to his disciples who were renunciates, who had taken to a path of renunciation, leaving everything, became sannyasins and they were following him. But when we go through them, we'll find it is true for all seekers of all times. Because it only helps us to make our mind one-pointed for the pursuit. Why we cannot progress in the pursuit? Why we are not able to go ahead in the spiritual path? Why do we feel that we are still not got anything? That joy with which the self-realized person, after realizing the self, is singing, Sarvadharam Sarvavastu Prakasham. He is actually saying that I have become the Sarvadhara. I am now illumining everything. It is I am in everything, as if all the forms I am. This feeling when he starts having, then that is the goal, that is the destination. Why we are not able to? You just think, year after year, all are listening to Swamiji, coming, going to satsang, going to lectures. But is it that we feel that, oh, it may happen to me or it may not happen to me? Is it that one thinks that I am not fit for it? Or maybe I have to still wait for it? Or is it that one feels this is what life will be? I'll be only listening. You must take a stock of yourself. You must analyze yourself. You must assess yourself. What makes one get stuck to the path and not progress? If one progress, within few years one should be singing like this, radiating this, telling others that I have got this. So, this is very much relevant to everybody. So what Shankaracharya wrote, Shankaracharya first verse is, Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karmasvanushthiyatam teneshasya vidhiyatam apachiti kamye matistyajyatam papaugha paridhuyatam bhavasukhe doshonusandhiyatam atmecha vyavasiyatam nijagrihat tornam vinirgamyatam. Would you like to chant? Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karmasvanushthiyatam teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitih kamye matistyajyatam papaugha paridhuyatam bhavasukhe doshonusandhiyatam atmecha vyavasiyatam nijagrihat turnam vinirgamyatam. Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karmasvanushthiyatam teneshasya विधीयताम् अपचितिः काम्ये मतिस्त्यज्यताम् पापौघः परिधूयताम् भवसुखे दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम् आत्मेच्छा व्यवसीयताम् निजगृहात् तूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम्. What is the goal in our spiritual life? This is Shankaracharya is telling his own students, and we are also learning from a guru. So what is our goal? The goal should be very well understood, that in this life, if we want to be happy always, we have to be unaffected in sukha and dukkha. So our shastras say that there is a goal, there is a stage where by realizing your own self, which is not the body, different from the body, mind, intelligence, realizing it and knowing that it is universal self, the Brahman, you can reach that destination where it is Nirantara Ananda. It is unaffectedness, where you will be always unaffected by whatever happens around you, you will be unaffected. I think all of us want that. Only when we are unaffected will we be joyous and happy. We cannot have joy and happy and contentment unless we become unaffected. It's not that sukha and dukkha will not come to us. It will come. Maybe in a big wave it will come, but we will be able to remain unaffected. We will be able to remain like a mountain which is achala and nischala. So this is the goal, and we have to pursue the path to reach that goal. How we can reach it? We can reach it only when whatever is being told to us by the realized souls, realized Mahatmas, the Gurus, we take to it sincerely and we try to follow it, try to implement it, try to reach that state without any doubt, not doubting his words. Oh, he is saying, but maybe it is not possible for one to reach in this life. No. When a Mahatma says that the Shastras are saying that you can reach the goal, you can. Only if you are not reaching, that means your effort is not there. Sincere effort and yearning is not there. So, why our mind gets distracted? The mind gets distracted by this objective world. So, in this 5 shlokas you will find that Shankaracharya is again and again giving instructions for his disciples to have a mind of eka ananyata, what do you say? One-pointedness, single-pointedness, ananyata. He is trying to make it wholesome. That is, come away from all other allurements, come away from all other things, and only focus on this spiritual goal and follow it, pursue it. So he says right in the beginning, Vedo nityam adhiyatam. See, the Vedas we have. And the Vedas are full of instructions for mankind. This is our tradition, this is our heritage, this is our culture. So many things have been told, and these Vedas, they are telling us how to behave in the social front, how in your own personal life you should behave, what are the yajnas you can do, what are the sacrifices you can do. It also tells about many things which you will get in the other world. So many things it has said. But by the Vedas, what the Vedas are trying to tell us, that you do work without any desire. You do work, but slowly by doing work, you should become gradually desireless. And in doing so, when you become so, you will be able to yearn for moksha, yearn for that state, which the Upanishads are saying, the Vedanta is saying. Even in the Vedas, everywhere it is written what is this state and why one should pursue it. So, first instruction that Shankaracharya is giving is Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam. So, you must read the Vedas. At least read the Vedanta. Read whatever you can. Say, this is a book. It is by the Ramakrishna Mission. So today, to think what I should say, I brought out this book. It is called Universal Prayers. And then I have read it many times, gone through them, because I like shlokas. I many times used to chant. I found that there are such beautiful shlokas from the Vedas here. So Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam, maybe for you to read the whole Veda is not possible. But at least get some good shlokas and read them. So the instruction that he is giving, first of all, no, it is to discipline your life. If at all you are listening and liking to listen, you must now discipline your life if the life is not disciplined. That is, have a routine for yourself for the spiritual path. If you want to progress in spiritual path, have a routine. When you will get up, what will you do afterwards? Whether you will contemplate on Brahman, whether you will read the Vedas, maybe you can allot some time each day that I will do this, do that. That is why it is said to bring back the mind from the worldly allurements which we are constantly encountering. Constantly. So much time we will spend just talking to each other. Unnecessary thing. Maybe 15 minutes we can spend that is on some actual necessity. But uske baad we'll find that we have been talking on the same issue. So many exchanges we'll make. So it's not that we don't have time. We get time. If you are sincere and yearning, you will find, suddenly you will find that you have been able to get time for yourself. So this one, it says, it is from this sloka, from Rig Veda, that you must be knowing. Sangachadvam Sambadadvam. Yes. So it says, Samano mantras samitis samani, samanam manassaha chittamesham. Common be your prayer, common be your end, common be your purpose, common be your deliberation. Beautiful. It's for society. If each one of us, we read this and we think that this is what we should be, then I think we'll impart this to the children, and the children, they will form the society of the next generation. So this is what common be your desires, unified be your hearts, united be your intentions, perfect be the union amongst you. Somebody had given a abridged Veda and meaning, slokas and meanings to our Swamiji from Delhi, some publishers. Beautiful shlokas are there when a girl and a boy are getting married. Beautiful shlokas. That what should be the attitude of the boy, what should be the attitude of the girl, when the girl is going to the in-laws' house, how he should be looking at the in-laws and the brothers and sisters of the husband. Between themselves, what should be the trust, the confidence, the love, and not making things too big and too serious. How they should look at each other, take each other's words. So much instruction is there in the Vedas for us, for the whole life. It's only thing that we have forgotten them. We don't know them. So I'm saying that even this book is very easily available. One can take it, read it, understand it, at least be very happy that such things are there in our culture. Only that much is enough. Then see, this one all of you know. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhirya Jatraha Sirairangaistushtuvam Sastanubhi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. Actually, there is a typical way this Shanti mantra should be chanted. There is a typical way. We are chanting it in a different manner, but there is a typical rhythm for it. It says that, O gods, may we hear with our ears what is auspicious. Don't you think when we get up in the morning, we can chant these shlokas? That is, we are beginning our day. We are saying, let us hear what is auspicious. Let our ears hear only what is auspicious. That is, suppose somebody has quarreled with you, told you harsh words or rude words, then what should you do? Immediately the mind gets agitated. But the mind can also think that I'll not be affected by this. I'll see whether something is wrong in me and I will improve. But if nothing is wrong, I don't mind. He has told this ignorantly. Let me find auspiciousness even in this. Then may we see with our eyes what is auspicious. May we sing your praises and enjoy with strong limbs and body the life allotted to us by gods. So we become grateful right in the beginning of the day, which we do not. When Dhruva, he had the vision of Lord Vishnu, 5-year-old boy, he had gone to the forest to propitiate Vishnu. And Vishnu Bhagavan gave him darshan. He was having Vishnu's face in his mind because his eyes were closed. Suddenly, that form disappeared. So poor little boy, he opened his eyes and found Vishnu himself is standing in front. So this little boy wanted to propitiate, sing some praises and stutis in the name of Vishnu. But he did not know anything. His lips started quivering and tears were coming to his eyes. Vishnu, big and little boy, 5-year-old in front of him. Just imagine the scene. What Lord Vishnu did? He with his shankha just stroked his cheeks. And immediately Dhruva was illumined. And Dhruva sang out some praises. First of which is this. Yonta pravishya mama vachamimam prasuptam sanjeevayatyakila shakti dharaswadhamna anyamscha hasta charana shravanatvagaadin pranan namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam yonta pravishya mama vachamimam prasuptam. What did he say? He said, O Lord, you who is Akhila Shaktidhara, you are the most powerful, all powerful. You who have entered me, Antapravishya, Yontapravishya mama vachamimam prasuptam. My words were dormant. I did not know stutis. I was not able to speak. And you enlivened my speech by entering me. And not only my speech, you are enlivening all the other sense organs, my ears, my smell faculty, my eyes, and even you are giving power to my limbs so that they are able to do work. To that Bhagavan, I do pranam. योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्. Even my life forces, you have enlivened it. Only because you have entered me and you are there, I am living. I am able to sit, I am able to walk, I am able to eat, I am able to do every kind of work, I am able to speak, hear, see, everything I am able to do because you are there inside me. So this is the gratefulness that he expressed. 5-year little boy, when Lord Vishnu gave him the faculty of speech, enlivened it, first thing he said this, but just look into yourself. Let us all look into ourselves. When we get up in the morning, do we sing such a song? Do we ever tell God that, oh God, I am so grateful to you that you have given me so many things and also a new day today? We never say. We always feel that what we have not got, we complain to God. What we have got, we never feel grateful and blessed about it. Everything we have got, the air, the sky, the water, the blood flow, the breath that we have, and all of us here at least, we have got shelter over our head, we have got clothes to wear, we have food to eat, we have many other kinds of comforts and if not luxury. But do we get up in the morning and take His name and be grateful to Him? I think if you are sincere seekers, that is what should be the first task from tomorrow onwards. Get up in the morning, ask God, tell God that I am grateful to you, O Lord. And if you do this, you will find the whole day will be very, very nice. You will not be feeling unhappy with anybody because you will feel everything that I do is being given by God. Every item of work that comes our way, we will find and we will feel it is given to me by God. Some item of work or something, some situations become very, very, not likable, dislikable, unfavorable. We do not want to enter into such situations, but we have to do. Those also will pass off without any difficulty because we will feel that it is God who is with us. So, here we must sing these slokas. Get up in the morning, if talk to God, tell Him like this, or chant some of these slokas where you say, I'll hear everything auspicious, I'll see everything as auspicious, I'll not find fault with anybody. Right in the morning, I will take a vow that I will not try to judge anybody, not complain about anybody. Those thoughts will crop up in the mind like volcano, but I will not be like that. I want to be pure because Brahman is pure. God is pure. I want to have godly dimension. I want to have the attributes of Brahman. So, unless that sincere feeling is there, we cannot progress in this path. That feeling should be sincere. And each occasion, each incident, episode in the day, you will feel you are able to judge where the impurity has come in, how it has come in. So, like this, I was talking about this book. So many are there, and I was feeling that somebody should read this. From Rig Veda, it says, O Lord, see, all these are there. This is Shukla Yajurveda Samhita. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam. All of you know this, I think. Mrityunjaya, Mahamrityunjaya Shloka. Urvarukamiva bandhanat mrityormukshiyamamritat. This should be part of your life. So these are the Vedas. The Vedas have given us very, very good, instructions for the way of life. It has given such injunctions and disciplines which will control us, regulate our desires, and with a view to eliminate it gradually. Why we are suffering? I am again and again saying, because of desires. Uncontrolled desires. Always wanting something, not contented at all. So, the Vedas are giving injunctions like this. Control your desires. Do such karma which will slowly make you come away from all those wants, and the mind will be ready for moksha. So, he says, Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karma swanushtiyatam. And whatever discipline the Veda gives, if you read some of the slokas, you will come to know what is the discipline in life. First of all, get up in the morning, as I said, take the name of God, talk to God, tell that I want to be pure, tell that I want to pursue this path and reach the goal of self-realization or to know God. So, this discipline you make for yourself. Then, taduditam karma swanushtiyatam. So, whatever work you do, I am repeating again, it will become easy, it will become according to the Vedic injunctions, and you will find that through that you are getting lot of joy, which is nirantara happiness, not which becomes zero after some time, which goes away after some time. Teneshasya vidhiyatam apachiti kame matistyajatam. And worship God every day. How will you worship God? See, many of you, I think, may have some routine of worship. Yes, the other day for Vishnu Sahasranama Yajna preparation day, a small family had come. So she looked to be, from her talk, I was feeling that very devoted girl, a young lady with a small child. So I said, Acha, it looks that you have a lot of bhakti. Then she said that, yes, I have got some routine. I try to do it every day, but sometimes if visitors, relatives come or guests come, I do not have time in the morning. Then while doing work, I chant those slokas. Some of them I know. So like this, many have such routines. But the question is it to be done like this? Or is it to be understood that with the bhakti and worship that we are doing, our mind is becoming purer and purer and becoming closer and closer to God, becoming away from the allurements and attractions of the world that is surrounding us. You understand? We are doing puja, say the Vishnu Sahasranama we have done. Every year, you notice, some people are there who really feel that it is a punya karma, and every year they would come and sit for the puja and the yajna and archana. But the mind must start thinking, I am doing this every year or maybe every day, some other routine. What is happening to my mind? Am I becoming more pure? That is, I have got some undesirable traits in me, like say irritation, say procrastination, laziness, lethargy, or getting irritated very fast, suddenly becoming depressed. All these are undesirable traits in us. So, with my worship and my puja, am I able to transcend this? Then the puja will be effective. Otherwise, it is always remaining in class 1. Always remaining in class 1, every day getting up, lighting a lamp after bath and offering some flowers and tulsi to God, maybe a little milk and some sweet, chant some slokas and go away for other duties. It will be always that. The mind will not go further and further. Giving you freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from the undesirable traits which cause suffering to the mind. Is it clear? So one has to be very, very assessing. One has to assess what one is doing. So this is what he says, Teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Who is saying this? Don't forget the background. Shankaracharya, this is not just a sloka. This is Shankaracharya telling his students, directly sitting in front of them, that these are the disciplines that you must follow. And one is Teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Worship God. And of course, the worship should be such that you are able to progress in your mind to be more and more godly and not more and more worldly. The mind should become more and more disinterested towards the worldly objects and become interested in God or self or Brahman. I will take up tomorrow. Tomorrow I also thought that who is Shankaracharya? I think we must know what he did. We know all about him, but not the details. So, such a wonderful life he had, and what all he did. Who is he? What knowledge he had? What did he do? And how did he learn? He also learned many things in his life. So, I thought that I will take up a little bit of that. Are you interested? Nityotsaво bhavet tesham nityashrir nityamangalam yesham hridistho bhagavan mangalayatanam harihi yesham hridistho bhagavan mangalayatanam harihi. Jai Guru.